Yalla Home
with Anna Schofield
and Big Hass.
And we're here live through till 8 o'clock tonight on a fabulous Thursday. Woohoo! It's the weekend. Let's talk about how we all ate a lot during lockdown. I'm going to throw myself in there too because I massively did. So I'm now on a diet and am sporadically fasting 2 days a week and just trying to bring it in, bring it back to where I was last March. That's all I want, where I was last March. Anyway, that's just me. So that's one person. They've now come out with this stat. Binge eating through the pandemic, because everyone did it, most of my friends put on weight, is now expected to trigger a huge surge in weight loss surgery. And they know this because the stats are already there. There's been a 20% increase in eating disorders. That's what doctors have said in the UAE. According to psychologists at the Wellbeing Centre, people are using food to exert control over their lives in an uncertain time. It's true. And the situation is so acute that medics expect a surge in weight loss surgery over the next few months as we all try and correct what we've done.
Wow.
What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know what I think. Like, to be honest, because I'm usually like what's on my mind is on my tongue. The thing is, the title obviously says pandemic binge eating expected to trigger surge in weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. I have like, I don't know who's writing these titles. I think people, especially when you have like magazines or newspaper, they just write titles to look at it. But specifically, scientifically speaking, yes, you're in a lockdown, so you're not moving more. But that's also nonsense because they proved that even if you're home, you can move. So it's not about that because
but you're not moving. You're not moving properly. I mean, my boy today online schooling, he moves from his bedroom during a break to the table.
Oh, facts. What I'm saying is that you can still do home exercise. It's not an excuse.
Yeah,
so that's one.
But we don't.
I hear you. No.
Walking to the bus, walking into school, walking around a large school, going from maths to geography. Yeah. His day is lots of walking in between. He doesn't do that when he's online.
Facts. I'm saying facts, but it's not an excuse yet. What my point is, the weight loss surgery thing for me, I have like.
I know you don't necessarily like it.
It's not that. See, for me personally, because I've had friends on both ends, friends that needed the surgery to live.
Right.
To live.
Right.
And friends that are doing it just because, I don't look good today.
Yeah.
So for me, the second one, I don't respect that. I don't know. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I know you're not into it.
And it's not a bad or a good thing. It's just, I just think that we should be okay with ourselves. Now, if it's a life-threatening kind of situation where you need to do this, this surgery, then,
Very different.
To each his or her own. I do think that when we're stuck at home, it's a pandemic, it's lockdown. Definitely you're gonna binge eat. The contrary part is I lost like 15 kilos in the lockdown, which is kind of very interesting to me because I started just eating healthy.
Yeah.
I think
you probably concentrated on your eating a bit more.
Yeah, the food comes in because you're stressed. Because I used to I was just stressed eater. When I'm bored, I would eat. When I'm stressed, I would eat. And I think, but I think this depends on every person.
So what they're saying is, since the start of the pandemic, there's been a noticeable increase in concern among patients about the lack of physical activity, challenges with weight gain, and also I absolutely relate to this because during the lockdown, what we did is we to make something fun in the day. It would be, what are we all having for dinner tonight? We're a family of 5, 3 teens, so we made dinner a really big deal. We all ate together. It was fun. Sometimes the children cooked. I was doing anything I could to try and make family days. And certainly at the beginning, we were trying to be outside and play tennis and things. But actually, a lot of it was watching movies and we were trying to do it all together. So in that time, because then at one point they stopped us kind of running and we couldn't even run outside. Do you remember? You couldn't do anything. You couldn't even walk your dog.
Yeah.
And that messed with my personal gym routine. My daughter, funnily enough, lost weight. She did a UHAS. She kind of she had time to focus and she got quite controlled about her eating. And she lost weight, so she looked great. The rest of us ballooned. And I massively ballooned because when I'm bored, I eat.
Yeah.
And actually, if you feel concerned, it's nice to have something to eat. Makes you feel better. And it's those basic things that humans do. And what they've now got is a population who all did that at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially if you were in a flat. I can imagine if you were in a flat on your own, I mean, you just would reach for the sandwich. I absolutely can relate 100%.
Yeah.
And so now what we've got is doctors coming out saying, yep, we've seen a 20% increase in, they're also saying in obesity, but I don't like those obesity numbers, rather like you, Hass. I think that they're off and they're insulting, and they don't take into account certain elements that should be taken into account. But as a result, now as we come out of the pandemic, fingers crossed, please let it happen, people are now aware and they're going to start trying for surgery.
Yeah, which
rather
is
than just working it off.
Yeah, which is my point. Like you can you gain, you lose weight,
Yeah.
But if you just look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do a surgery just to get it off. I don't know. I think it's debatable in my opinion.
I'd be scared too. I honestly would
I get
be
it, but
scared.
I think it's very, I don't know.
A tummy tuck is a big operation. There was someone famous died of a tummy tuck.
Oh wow. Okay. So
No,
again,
but I mean, I
they-
get frightened.
the way they market it though, and as well, like anybody can come in and do and by the way, a lot of people who have big followers, they always, like yesterday, I was watching this. She was a model, and she was. She was really struggling with her weight, like up and down, and she started getting infection under her belly. So she had to do a tummy ache,
Right,
a tummy tuck,
Mm-hmm.
tummy ache. So when it comes to that, and she got attacked for it, like, oh, how do you preach about being yourself and do that and you do this? Well, stuff like that,
Yeah.
when you're like getting infection and
That's
it's
medical.
life-threatening, I get it.
Yeah.
But if you just want to do it for the sake of just doing it, I think it's a bit lazy, in my opinion, because I live in a flat, and I swear to God, in the pandemic, I'm looking outside with other neighbors. Neighbors are jumping, they're running, they're like they're exercising, they're in a flat. So it's not an excuse. I just think
it's doable.
Because obviously we look at it ourselves, and you look at the Zoom situation, and you look at yourself more, and we see ourselves more, and then this is where self-confidence, I think, plays a big role. But let us know what you guys think.
It's Yalla Home
With Anna Schofield.
and Big Cass.
Just have it.
Let's talk about the pandemic.
Let's talk about the pandemic. Hang on, I've got the wrong thing up. What's this? Something about the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. What I want to talk about is the fact that the pandemic
Anniversary.
today, it's the anniversary.
Today.
A year
Wow.
today, basically. So on the 11th of March, and it actually sent chills almost through me when I was reading it. On the 11th of March, 2020, WHO declared it an official pandemic.
Yeah.
And we all went, oh, goodness. And I feel like at this time, there were like 300 cases in the UAE. And I remember you and I going, oh, there's 300. Oh, my goodness. And it was declared a pandemic. And then gradually, for the next 2 weeks, it was just getting bigger. And the UAE went into shutdown on the 25th of March. I remember my friends, suddenly I got inundated with emails from my friends who were in the F&B business going, we've been shut down. All staff need to leave by 5 p.m. tonight. It's unheard of. And if you think of the drama, because they're going to do a film about this one day.
They've done already.
Yeah, but this is the moment. These are the moments.
Yeah.
These are the moments when your friend who's run a restaurant, that's his livelihood, that's how he's paying for his family,
Fact.
says I'm closed down. And they were closed down for months. It didn't go back. I think the one that I'm thinking of finally reopened September. That was a long time. He's paying rent on credit card. His kid isn't in school. Terrible.
The World Health Organization said that in 2018 they warned the world needed to build a strong, resilient health system to cope with emerging threats. That was in 2018.
Interesting.
And he said the pandemic showed the future is now. I think this is something that's been discussed over and over again, but I don't know how the world reacted to it, especially when it came out of China, and we were like thinking about it, and we were like, okay, it's not affecting us in this region.
Yeah.
This was the street talk.
I remember
to
that.
be honest.
Yeah.
China,
Yeah.
hey, China's really far. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then obviously it spread. And
Well, I
boom.
remember saying to a couple of people at the time, why are they not stopping flights from China?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I do remember that being a conversation piece. And I remember all my very intelligent friends going, you can't stop flights from China. Do you know what that'll do to the economy? China has so much money in so many places of the world and countries around the world. You cannot do it. And then a year later, now all countries have been shut down.
Yeah.
Had we taken action initially, but of course you don't, do you?
You don't, yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when they said it's a pandemic, already people started traveling and started, and obviously, we did not know the amount of information we knew back then and
Yeah.
now. It's crazy. I'm reading a stat right here. I think when they launched it, it was like 100,000 cases in the world only, right? And now look at us. It's like 120 million cases in the world or something like that. The last time I checked.
And there's been
118 million.
2.6 million deaths as a result of it. That's
Exactly.
the stat on that. That's the worldometer.
And it's but it's still monumental, right? Like as what we lived through. Take our generation, for example, and then take the kids' generation, what they went through in terms of mental health, in terms of friendship, in terms of losing a year or academically and stuff like that.
Yep.
But at the same time, I really believe, and I'm not taking the rainbow side here. I just think sometimes because in our Muslim faith, especially, we believe everything is a test. Like that's generally it. Like everything is a
Everything
test.
is
and
a
now,
test,
and now, obviously, how you handle the test, how you come out of this test builds your character. A lot of people came out of this stronger. A lot of people had more business in the pandemic. I'm talking about. So there are many negatives, such as the especially the mental health of people who lived alone, who stayed alone,
And people
who couldn't
lost
go out.
relatives.
People who, of course, lost the
the
relatives
mental
because
health
of this.
of kids.
Mental health of kids who were accustomed to go to school, see their friends, and now they're staring at like a weird screen. And a voice coming out saying dab 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 dab. And it's
I
cutting
went
out,
through online
like-
learning today. I was thinking I'm going to throw that computer at the wall in a
I'm
minute.
telling you. So, but I do think that it kind of builds your character. And think about it for the next few years to come. You can say that I'm a child of the pandemic. I survived it. We're here. And all the positive, all the life coaches out there, they always focus on that. If you're here, you survived it.
Yeah.
Let that be the power of that. And if you're listening to us right now, you survived a pandemic. It's a big deal. We did lose loved ones, but we survived it. And I think it's incredible to look back 1 year ago exactly.
Yeah.
And go like how we as Pulse 95 Radio also adapted to it.
Yeah, you're right. We had to. It was really crazy. I'm going to read, though, just before we go to some music, I want to read what the WHO said at the time, March the 11th, a year ago. This is what they said to everyone. They declared it a global pandemic on March the 11th, 2020. And then they said the escalation is not inevitable. And remember, they're talking present tense at the time. We cannot say this loudly enough or clearly enough or even often enough. All countries can still change the course of this pandemic. That's what he said from a briefing in Geneva. If countries detect, test, treat, isolate, trace, and mobilize their people in the response, those with a handful of cases can prevent those cases becoming clusters and those clusters becoming community transmission. That's what they said to us.
Yeah. Very
Not
interesting.
one country, bar New Zealand, who is an island anyway and is self-sufficient, actually managed to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
We all messed up.
yeah, to be fair, I think to be fair as well, you have to take how the news spread as well and how this pandemic, they talked about how easily spread it is and how they noticed it takes 2 weeks to do that. So maybe by the time you even said so and people, maybe it was a
Yeah.
bit too late. But I know for the fact that the UAE and Saudi Arabia, a couple of other Gulf countries, were very, very strict.
They were very
when they found out.
Yeah, they were.
And we had to do that lockdown, remember? Like when we
Yeah.
did the lockdown.
The
and
lockdown, that
we
was
had to
cool.
go through that and to understand. But again, you talk to people and they realize that lockdown has giving them the fact that, oh, wow, now I have a family. Like I really need to chill with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
they were so business-oriented people.
There were bits of it that I enjoyed, but I felt like I had a garden and I had a big family.
Yeah.
And I just, and so I don't go around going, I had a great time during the lockdown. I did.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that bit of it because I was still doing the show with you. I was just doing it from home.
Yeah.
And I was completely with my family. I did the show in sundresses and pajamas most days, because there were no cameras apart from you and I. Do you remember that?
Remember.
But other than that, I really did enjoy it. But I don't go around saying, I really enjoyed it. Because people will go, you can shut up. I was in a flat.
It's not a highlight, but a lot of people started getting closer with family.
Yes.
You know, and there's always somehow of a silver lining. I hope I'm using that right, because I always use it wrong. Did I use it right?
Yeah.
In this case?
Yeah, you
Because I always use it wrong. A lot of people tell me, hey, yeah, that's okay. There's something called that, but you used it in the wrong space right here.
What is it when someone says something and you say it? It's a... If you're saying what someone else said, it's a
quote.
A quote.
Quote.
Quote. It's a quote.
It's a quote.
Yellow Home
With Anna Sophia.
and Big House.
6 minutes past 6. What are your plans for tonight? It's Thursday. We need tunes. Coming up in this hour.
We're going to be talking about, well, obviously you titled it, Anna. You said the UK press is starting to eat itself.
Bring it on.
That's your title, right?
Yeah, that bit.
Which is interesting because obviously the headline is Society of Editors Executive Director Ian Murray Murray resigns after defending UK press over Meghan's
Claims. Yeah.
So now you had we're going to talk about that. Obviously you had one reporter or one editor saying things about Meghan that is not right.
Actually, it was him, Ian Murray.
Him.
He's supposed to be heading up the Society of Editors. So he's like the big cheese above all the editors of all the newspapers.
And he said something wrong about her?
He said that Meghan shouldn't be claiming, and I'm paraphrasing, Meghan shouldn't be claiming racism unless she can prove it.
Okay.
Harsh.
And I think... fam, look, you can talk a lot about... Remember the thing, I think we're going to talk about it, but again, remember always, like, they talk a lot about this. It's whoever comes to you a victim, right?
Yeah.
Always somehow believe maybe that, because it's better to believe than not to believe. In everything, in anything, we have more worst cases in the world happening. When someone comes to you, they've been abused, they've been done that. You try to believe and find out. So when someone says no to that, and by the way, this is why also with Piers Morgan, he made fun of her mental state.
Yeah, he said he didn't believe it.
And you know what I mean? And that's a problem, especially in the West, you know?
But see what's happening.
Yeah,
So he's had to resign because he made these comments.
That's crazy that he resigned.
Editors turned round to him, and these are friends of his and people that he is protecting. He's from the Society of Editors.
Yeah, I got to read what he said.
They turned round and said, we don't agree with what you've just said, actually. I don't agree with that. So he had all these editors come out and disagree with him. He's had to step down from his job. Piers Morgan has been fired from the morning show.
Is that confirmed though? The fired or let go? Because we still don't know.
Let's say he left.
Yeah.
He had to leave on the back of what happened. Ofcom, 41,000. I just am seeing, and he's an old press guy. He's an old editor, Piers Morgan. I'm watching the press now starting to turn on itself, and this has never happened before. There's such a strong force, and
interesting.
It's about
I think they're drawing that line, maybe, which is like, again, these are lines, whether it's the mental health, whether it's the racism, card.
Normally they protect. This is old boy network, old school. They never normally do this. This is really interesting. So what you're getting now is infighting, and they're starting to disagree with one another, and they're pointing fingers. And good.
Okay.
Good.
Let's talk about that, of course.
Yeah.
We're also going to touch on Banksy's painting. What did he do right now? He obviously is hoping to raise millions for them.
We touched on it yesterday, do you remember? But also I want to talk about the pros and cons of a high-fat, low-carb diet. Have you done a keto diet before?
I don't know what that is.
Keto is when you don't eat carbs.
Great.
And your body goes into like this keto form.
Shocking it.
Yeah. So you don't eat bread, you don't eat pasta, you don't eat rice. You only eat meat, protein, fruit.
Ooh. What about the music rates today?
You can eat that.
I can eat that.
It's not a carb.
Great.
Yellow Home
With Anna Sophia.
and Big House.
Thursday night. It's rock and roll here, isn't it, with the old piano? All right, so this is the story that you've been wanting to talk about, Hass, and I find it interesting because you want to know what was said to whom and how. And I find it interesting because I've never known the British press do anything other than stand shoulder to shoulder and protect one another, no matter what goes on. They rarely turn on one another. They will in terms of, saying your paper's rubbish, my paper's the best. But actually, as reporters, there's like a code of ethics. But today saw the Society of Editors, Executive Director Ian Murray resign after defending the UK press over a Meghan row. So he was defending the UK press, and the editors turned around and said, "We don't want you to defend, we don't believe what you're saying." And then he stepped down. That's why they're imploding. So they condemned what he said, and let's just work out what he said. He resigned after the Society of Editors came under fire for comments about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's accusations of racism. So Ian Murray said he would step down and rebuild, so the society could rebuild its reputation. I'm just trying to find... Not acceptable for the couple. Here we go.
Yeah.
He said it was not acceptable for the couple to make claims of racism in the press without supporting evidence. And then he went on to say the UK press was not racist. But at this point, they were criticised. He says, while I do not agree the Society's statement was in any way intended to defend racism, I accept it could have been much clearer in its condemnation of bigotry and has clearly caused upset. So he stepped down because he went, okay, clearly I didn't phrase this properly, I didn't word it well.
Yeah.
I'll resign.
Wow. I mean...
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How can you prove? I don't know.
Yeah. How can you
prove that?
Look, because it's sometimes it's just also a feeling, right? Like how do you walk
right.
in every, like I met my boss today. Do I walk in recording every single time, like what he says and what she says to me and whatever? And how do I do that? Is it something repeating? Is it, And I think it's incredible this has happened. It's just, okay, 2021 right now, things are way different than before.
Yeah.
In like 20 years, 30 years ago, you could get away with a lot of things on live television. Nothing would happen because no one would seen it.
Especially when it was live, it was gone.
Yeah.
And it was
done.
out. Yeah.
It's exactly, that's my point. And you say things and then done. Now everything is recorded. The moment that Piers Morgan walked off, it wasn't on YouTube. It was somebody who took a video of it.
Wow.
Because he or she knew something's about to break. They're like fighting on each other on live. So it was a phone. This was the first video that got out.
Leaked.
And then obviously it went on YouTube with the ITV website or whatever. But the first ever video on Twitter, it was on Twitter. Somebody videotaped it from his phone or her phone. And released that. They said, Piers Morgan stormed off the set of blah, blah, blah. Boom, national headline. And it happened. So I just think right now, and by the way, I say this, and we got to just be more responsible about how we say things. Like even on the radio right here, we're on the radio, millions of people are tuning in.
Agreed.
It goes back after to online. It is something very important to realize. Now, when someone says it's not acceptable, like look what he's saying. So you say that you got attacked or something like that.
Yeah.
Forget about this Meghan Markle situation. You got attacked, you got abused. Then how do I prove, like, how, you know what I mean? It's just like more like a, and because it's a race situation, it's even worse.
Yes.
Even because sometimes it's a word, it's a gesture, it's a move, it's a lot.
It's a tone, as you said.
It's a tone.
And it's the way someone says something. You're absolutely right. But it's interesting that he was obviously defending his own. He was defending the press.
Yeah.
And they turned around and went, we don't agree. I just find that so interesting. They're starting to...
Especially in the UK.
Yeah. They're starting to turn on each other. He stepped down. The Society board needs to rebuild its reputation. They're horrified by the statement that was made. Telling someone, I think the irony of him saying, if you're going to make an accusation, you need evidence to someone after the press. Time and time again, especially in the UK, print stories that are totally inaccurate, totally made up. and there is no evidence for it. In fact, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have both won several times, if I'm not mistaken, on cases that weren't legitimate. So for him to stand up and go, you need evidence, are you kidding me? What hypocrisy.
Look, I think it's also beautiful to see that this is taking place in terms of the democracy and like how it is, how people take accountability.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of places in the world that don't take place. So I think we downplay this, what's happening really. If you just step out of the angle and what's happening. This is a royal family you're talking about. This has been there hundreds of years. This is, it's played out in Twitter. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is ugly. That is
you know,
ugly.
It's when you're royal like that, when you're government like that, you're not going to go down to step and start answering tweets. But I do understand why the whole thing broke. And because it's 2021, and because it's obviously social media age, because social media was able to start revolutions, and it is strong.
Yeah, provoke wars.
It's a tweet. Yeah, it's happening. I'm telling you. So I think, and you know when the especially with the royal palace, they started getting more active on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and because they want to be down with the kids.
Yeah.
They want to know, like they want to be cool as well, and I think it's really important. But yeah, this is for me. I appreciate it. I respect it. Like. The fact that he stepped down, he maybe felt something was wrong, and then his body said that you messed up here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
No, and he said, I'll step down because I didn't handle it correctly. His people turned on him though. We've got Piers Morgan who had to leave his show yesterday. That he's been there for 5 years, so. All of it's interesting. It's shaking up the press.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. The Guardian News and Media Editor-in-Chief, right? She said on Tuesday, every institution in the United Kingdom is currently examining its own position on vital issue of race and the treatment of people of color.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, this has definitely shaken up.
Yeah.
Even the tonality. And on the long run, is that a good thing? Yes. Yeah. Now, I get it. It's going to be causing a small kind of earthquake. But on the long run, because at the end of the day, we don't feel like, if somebody is black and they got a racist, attack. Yesterday, an NBA player was playing a game, okay? Online.
Yeah.
Famous NBA player. He said a slur towards a certain community, something bad. He automatically, it was on Twitch. They caught it. The NBA released a statement. His team released a statement. He's indefinitely out. You cannot
do it.
Get away with things now that you used to get away with 4 years later, earlier.
Yeah.
It is that crazy. So you got to be responsible for every single word that comes out of you. And if you're in a position where you're like this, you have millions of people.
High profile, but you can't
NBA
go around
player. What are you talking about?
What an idiot. Why did he do that?
I'm telling you.
Come on.
Terrible. So the NBA, of course, the team, Miami Heat, released, we don't condone something like that. He's
Everyone has to
out.
down to the mattresses. He's out.
He lost he's probably out of the NBA right now. I don't know what will happen to him, but it's that crazy. Because somebody took a video of it and put it... It is crazy.
Guys, check
be careful.
Yourself.
Yeah, check yourself. That's incredible.
Music's greatest songs. Worth covering. Original classic hitmakers.
I'm going back tonight. I'm going way, way back because this band started in the 70s. And I sort of remember it being played in the house. Don't know much about them, but some of the songs are just delicious. And this is such an endearing, gorgeous love song. And it flicked up randomly on something, I don't know what I was listening to, that brought this up. And I went, oh yeah. Now, I had to do my research, obviously. So the band I'm talking about is Hot Chocolate. Hilarious. And when I first started researching, all I could find was lovely sort of versions of Hot Chocolate with marshmallows. And I was like, no, the band. And here they are. They're a British soul band, really, really popular, 1970s, 1980s. And they were formed by Errol Brown. Is that a name that you're familiar with, Errol Brown? Is that ringing bells?
Errol Brown.
He had a big private career as well, solo career, sorry.
Wow.
No? Okay, so it's formed by Errol Brown and another gentleman called Tony Wilson. They had they had loads of hits. But they had one hit every year from 1970 to 1984, consecutive, just bang, 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 kept having amazing hits. They had a massive hit with You Thing, which made the top 10 in 3 different decades, and that was released in 1975. I'd love to have played that, but we just have to be a little bit gentle. And it's a very, very funny song, and it's been in several films, which made it more famous. But number 1, 3 decades, pretty good. So let me tell you about the band before I play this lovely, gorgeous song. 1968. They were formed then, consisted of Errol Brown, who is the lead singer, incredible, and vocalist, and obviously wrote most of the songs. Then there was the guitarist, Franklin DeAli. There was the drummer, Jim King, and he was replaced later by Ian King. Percussionist, Patrick Olive, and then the bassist, Tony Wilson. And Tony Wilson and Errol Brown set it up together. They had a keyboardist called Larry. Everyone's got a keyboardist called Larry. And he joined the band the following year. And they were originally named Hot Chocolate Band by Mavis Smith, who worked for Apple Corp's press office, apparently. And this was quickly shortened to Hot Chocolate. By Mickey Mote. I don't know who Mickey Mote is. But band's lineup changed several times. People come and go, normal kind of thing, because they were a big band for a very long time. And they started their recording career actually making reggae. And they made a reggae version of Give Peace a Chance by John Lennon. Right? So this is where it gets good. Right. So they made a reggae version of that. But then Errol Brown was told he needed permission. So he was contacted by Apple Records. He discovered that Lennon liked his version. John Lennon was like, love it. It's, as you would say, dope. And then the group was subsequently signed to Apple because of that version, and because John Lennon was like, this is really brilliant, you need to sign these guys. Shortly after that, the Beatles started breaking up, and it all went a bit Pete Tong. And so as a result, the connection with Apple was lost. So
They all went what?
Pete Tong.
What's a Pete Tong?
Cockney rhyming slang for it all went wrong.
Cockney.
Yeah. So Pete Tong is a big DJ in the UK. You must know Pete Tong. Everyone knows Pete Tong.
So what happened? He quit or something like that? What happened?
Oh, when something goes Pete Tong, it goes wrong. Yeah. No, the Beatles started breaking up. They started having rows, and
like
McCartney and Lennon. Yeah, it all went Pete Tong between Lennon and McCartney.
So cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to do a DJ week, and I'm going to do a Pete Tong track. He's proper old school. I used to grow up with Pete Tong playing the big tunes. Anyway, so
very random, yeah.
That's so random.
I'm
wasn't
the
it?
Saudi guy who don't understand. Like she's like, the Beatles went Pete Tong. I'm like, where did they go?
Oh, please, you have to start saying Pete Tong when something goes wrong. If you go,
we say we went south.
Right, it's exactly the same as that.
Okay, cool.
But if you go say, oh no, it all went Pete Tong.
That would be funny
for a
like,
Saudi, and especially with an American accent.
Yo, it all went Pete Tong, man. I'm telling you.
They would be like, oh my God. They would think that was so amazing.
That's funny. Okay.
Where did you pick that up from? Amazing. But you have to be a certain age. I'm not sure how big Pete Tong is now with the kids.
Yeah.
So, not the alpha generation.
Okay.
So, together with music producer Mickey Host, we're in 1970 now. They began releasing tracks that became hits. There was Love Is Life, there was Emma, You Could Have Been a Lady, all of these things, Believe in Love. And these were all with Rack Record label, apparently, owned by Most Brown and bassist Tony Wilson. Okay. Anyway. So that was all going on. And gradually, the band started to become real regulars in the singles chart in the UK. And one of the hits from this period was Brother Louie. Really, really good. And I'm trying to... I think my parents must have, because I'm familiar with this stuff. But really, it was the disco era where they had a big success. It was high production standards, apparently, and the growing confidence of Errol Brown and Tony Wilson as well, together with him. They created all these tight vocals, and it enabled them to have massive, massive hits. So the other song that I was going to play, You Thing, is really, really good. Everyone's a Winner, another massive hit. And then there was this, okay? This is the cutest song, because this is actually about 2 children. And it's about him loving her so much. And if you listen to the beginning of the song, you're like, oh, he really loves this woman. He really loves this woman. And then he says, and you were only 8 and I was 9. And, I didn't know, because he's talked already about how he had made her promise to be his wife.
At the age of 9.
And then he's 9.
Did they
and
become?
She's 8.
Did they marry afterwards?
You have to listen to the song.
Ooh.
But he loved this girl. She was everything to him.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels like such a pure, lovely song. You know that kind of that love at school when it was just unbridled and pure and sweet and lovely and they made your dreams come true.
That's cool love. I mean, just sidetracking here. Do you think like adults can have this kind of love? Does it exist?
I think it does, but
It does.
but not in the same way. I think that
I hear you.
I had a boy at school. Literally, he followed me around. I mean, I used to say awful things to him because I wanted him to go away. And some of the things I used to say to him were "go away." Like, funny enough,
you were that girl in school and in school.
no, but he just every time I needed something, he popped up. He would pick my pen up off the floor.
Nice.
He would try and carry my bag.
Gentleman.
He was Andrew Perrier. His name was.
What's his name?
Andrew Perrier.
Well, we're gonna LinkedIn him.
Actually, he lives in the UAE. He linked in with me a few years ago.
Oh my God!
How weird is that? Yeah.
That's really weird.
And it was so many years later, and I went, Andrew Perrier, that name rings a bell. And it was him
I'm the
from
guy that
school.
used to pick your pen, but right now I'm telling you, ain't nothing that happened.
And then he turned around to me, and this song reminds me of it, because he
That's
turned
funny.
around to me and said, we started chatting, and he said, do you remember when you chucked me in maths?
Oh man!
And I said, I don't even remember going out with you, Andrew. I don't remember. And he went, it was for a few hours. You agreed, and then you chucked me in maths. I don't remember that at all. We're little.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there we go. Back to the band. That's the song that I've chosen to play, and I want you all to listen because it's just so lovely. But their songs have been up and down. They were in. Do you remember? There's a film called The Full Monty. That was from
I love The Full
1980.
Monty.
Right. So one of their songs is the hit in The Full Monty.
What do you mean? That song?
The song.
Really?
Yeah.
For the Full Monty. It's by the Hot Chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I need to check that
No,
out.
they're huge. They're huge. And
You
it's
should have
been.
started with that. Okay. No.
Oh, should I? Should I have said okay? So the band. I mean, it made them. But I feel like Errol Brown was in it as well. But I can't actually say that for sure. So I won't say it. And this is the band. Now, the sad bit of this whole thing, because Errol Brown is such a talent. He's the original frontman. He's the principal songwriter. Absolutely wonderful. May 2015, he died. We lost him. So there is no more Hot Chocolate. Literally, it's over. He was 71, so that's how far back they go. But let's listen to this cute song.
Yellow Home
With Anna Schofield.
and Big House.
Thursday, 13 minutes past 7. And hope you're having a good Thursday.
100%. Okay, Anna Schofield.
Yeah.
Shout out to our Christina.
I love the way she says it, and now she's changing the way she says it because you keep
Did she?
taking the mickey out of her.
No, I didn't take the mickey out of her. Shout out to her. I like
the
it.
way she
Anna.
says it. I know.
Anna. What?
Has.
But your name is Anna, right? Imagine I say Anna Schofield.
No, it's not actually. So I was named as Christina says it
Anna?
by my mum. Yeah.
So why are we saying
And then
Anna
the
Schofield?
English go, Anna. And my mum used to hate it, and
It's
she used to
Anna.
correct people, and I would be so
Is it
embarrassed.
double N or one N?
Anna. A-N-A.
So it's Anna.
It's not.
It's sounded like
Having a little foot
it's
stamp.
not. Okay.
It's not.
Okay, Anna. I'll start calling you Anna from now on.
Lovely, I love
okay,
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anna. She's from Germany, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure.
All right. So this is really interesting. I want to know what you think about it, you guys, and you, Anna, as well. Anna. Etihad Airlines all-female flight crew took to the sky on International Women's Day. Obviously took on the 8th of March. Though, you know, the women piloted a Boeing 787 Dreamliner from Abu Dhabi to Cairo.
And tomorrow they're having squirrels.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's lovely. I just think it's great that they're able to do that. I love that there's a female pilot. I love that there's a female co-pilot. I love, women can do everything. It makes us a minority group when you sort of put it out there like that. It's
Okay.
like, and tomorrow, we'll have squirrels, and then the next day there'll be another minority group, and then on Wednesday we'll have badgers, and
I hear you.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I just think,
feel weird about it.
obviously it was we're like Women's Month, right? Like March.
And there's
Women
nothing but
International-
lovely vibes, by the way, from it. So.
I think the more we talk about it, maybe the more when we say normal, I see your point, I know your intention, but I just think, you still have to normalize things. There's still times where you go to board offices and you see like a group of men.
Yeah.
There's no women.
Yeah.
You go to a group of board meetings or room. You'll see it's all men, one
Agreed.
woman.
Agreed.
The
pay discrepancies.
The pay. Oh, that's the most annoying thing for me
Yeah.
because I really don't get it.
Yeah.
I really like genuinely. I'm talking genuinely. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like if a person is doing the same job, why she would get paid less?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it better if she get paid more than the man. Don't get me wrong. Just to be fair.
Yeah.
Like it's
Agreed.
the same job.
Yeah.
Pay them the same.
Yeah.
I just and it even affect like what if I'm getting paid more than you, for example? How would you
I'm
feel
going to
about
be
it?
throwing pies at you.
Maybe that's the case. I don't.
You're getting pies.
I'm just saying. So yeah, this happened obviously on Women International Day, and especially in aviation as well. In the world of aviation, women remain
Very
largely
male-dominated.
unrepresented. Even more so when it comes to pilots.
Yep. Yeah.
Because see, this is why it's interesting topic for me. When a man is a pilot, oh my God, wow. Like, you see the world. You meet so many people. You dress so nice. When a woman is a pilot, she doesn't care about her family.
Really? You think that's it?
That's the perception. I'm talking
Wowzers.
perception. I'm not talking that's me. I'm talking about perception. And that's why this needs to stop.
Yeah.
And according to the International Air Transport Association, only an estimated, check this out, 5% of pilots worldwide are
Are
women.
female. So I had a friend.
5%, fam.
My friend's partner is a pilot, and she told me of the conversation. In the end, it drove her crazy because he was so sexist about female pilots. He's a pilot.
He's a pilot. And
he's a pilot. And he used to say, oh, the thing is, though, they get so stroppy and they want everything the way they want it when you get a female. He used to say really derogatory
See,
things.
that's rude.
Really, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
see what he says? Maybe he didn't mean it or whatever it is, but when you say
But,
that, that's
mate,
terrible.
Yeah.
That's
So-
like a...
They. You see, it's that minority thing.
That's like a,
again.
hey. This
Yeah.
kind of thing when you say, like, you can't say stuff like that.
Wah, wah.
You
Yeah,
need-
bad news.
Yeah, we need to get that voiceover. but they're saying in 2018, the International Air Transport Association launched a campaign called 25 by 2025. And it's designed to improve female representation in the industry by 25% or up to a minimum of 25% by 2025.
Right.
So
right. Lovely.
let's push for that.
Yeah.
Like right here, 25 by 2025. Let's push that percentage even more, and maybe because it's pilot as well. It's culturally, I don't know. For example, how it is. Like that's the perception. That's why they did something.
There's
like
also
that.
the sheer physicality of it. So in terms of being a pilot, you get to a certain point of pregnancy. Women having babies is always an issue in the workplace. Employers are. They make no mistake.
You always talk about
I'm
that.
going to say, and make no mistake that employers are nervous of women who may have babies because it's costly. They're going to leave their job. They've got to have the baby physically.
But that's power.
and they
You
might-
wouldn't be here, mister, if it wasn't for a lady.
Agreed.
So,
but
yeah.
in business, they go, So
Okay.
if they can get a male to do it, the male's not going to go off and have a baby. So that's completely, that's there. Okay, that's
Gotcha.
already out there. When you've got a job like flying, when you get to a certain stage of pregnancy, you're not allowed to fly.
Yeah.
And then when you've had the baby, you're not going to be able to leave the baby for 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
So there are some intrinsic kind of physical
But that's,
hurdles
for me, it's power.
to being a female.
For me, it's power. Like
Yeah.
women, they have the power, and I don't think this should be a hurdle or because
It shouldn't, but of course it
but
is.
that's the-
When you're trying to do all the scheduling for the pilots, and you've got one who's got a newborn, very difficult. And I'm not agreeing with this, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I'm just saying. Also, from the point of view of a woman choosing that profession, you literally would have to go right.
Yeah, yeah.
How am I? I'm going to have to go from my
You're-
6th month being pregnant right through till the child's. I'm going to have to take a large time off work,
And
then I'm going to
career
leave
choices.
my baby for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be a hard one for me. And
Career.
Lola was a surprise. So I had to adapt to being mother. And the thought of being a mother. But even once I was pregnant, that was it. I was mummy first. End of story.
God bless, man.
If you liked this episode of Yalla Home, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.